Here at White or Black, we are continually working to bring you innovative and informative news of upcoming events and ongoing changes in the world's news. It is with great confidence that we announce a new juncture with a new outlet to better keep you informed with the ever-changing world. In our efforts to keep you up to date, we have joined forces with a news outlet you can trust, Unreal News. Unreal News takes a stance to provide truthful reports and provides in-depth investigations into stories that major news outlets won't cover. In a world on the brink, we want the truth, not the facts. Please like, subscribe, and share. Let's get the truth out there.
Welcome to Unreal News. I'm your host, Dan I Am Awesome, and today we'll be sharing the information of an in-depth investigation to find out what's truly been happening behind the scenes in our great nation. We are aware that many things in the past 4 years have been out of control in our great nation, from uncontrolled immigration and many unwanted elements crossing our border, to war in foreign countries. We felt it necessary to provide an investigation close to home. We felt what better place to investigate than a place close to our hearts. A place we all grew up with. A place that felt like everyone was welcome. We wanted to choose a place we could all relate to and see the aftermath of ever-rising inflation, public education failing its taxpayers, and the effects of LGBTQ ideology being indoctrinated throughout our society. We thought what better place to focus on than the one place we all could feel welcome. Our investigation leads us to the heart of America. Join us as we take a deep dive into the unseen tragedy that is Sesame Street. Our investigation begins in a place where many of us began to learn to read and write, to learn our alphabet and count numbers. We went into the classroom to see what was happening inside the classrooms of Sesame Street and found nothing short of appalling. We found math was racist. Monsters couldn't do basic arithmetic, and questionable instruction was underway. One student identified as a dog and was allowed the use of a litter box. Upon further investigation, we found new teachers were being implemented to introduce federal policies to better guide our youth in their learning process. The most appalling of all was the instructors themselves. The constant barrage of incomprehensible mutterings and the ever-present yip 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 yips left me feeling my IQ dropping faster with every passing minute. Where does the federal government find these people? Is there some intergalactic host that's invading our public education system? To be frank, most of the instruction given by these otherworldly instructors didn't even resemble the English language. A word here or there, like moo, or odd noises like the ringing of a telephone, left me feeling little hope for the children's education and for their ability to find and hold future jobs. Yep, 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 What a state our education system has become. Hopefully, the older generation has involvement with the youth and can keep them on track. That is what led me to the next stage of my investigation. Where were the adults of Sesame Street? I left the school seeking insight. Walking along a desolate alleyway, I came upon a pub. Perhaps I could find someone inside that had some answers. Upon entering the pub, one figure stood out, Cookie Monster. The one and only, a beloved face we'd all grown to love. However, as I closed the distance to ask the questions that flooded my head, an overwhelming scent erased all initial inquiries. The scent of alcohol and the undeniable smell of fresh-baked cookies filled the air. It appeared our friend was in a sad state of despair. Cookie Monster had picked up a few new habits the past few years. In an attempt to deal with the despair gripping our nation, Cookie Monster had taken to the bottle. I asked a few patrons if this was a regular retreat for Cookie Monster, and everyone agreed that it was like this day in and day out. Every evening, friends alike attempted to help Cookie Monster home, his blue fur graying and littered with cookie crumbs and crusted with alcohol. His once googly eyes now lazily gazed side to side, lost to the bottle. I knew I'd find no answers here. I couldn't bear to see Cookie in such a state. I continued my journey. Once again, in the alleyway, I stood solemnly thinking how saddening my investigation had begun. The children of Sesame Street, their education system failing them, and Cookie Monster drinking away his despair where cookies had once sufficed. That's when I saw him. Oscar. An old, fatigued Oscar, but Oscar, all the same. I approached, finally someone that would have some answers. Talking with Oscar, though, didn't offer much hope, it turns out. Since the influx of illegal immigrants and properties being allowed to be held by squatters, it seems even Oscar was not immune to the events plaguing our nation. He had very little information on the happenings with his friends from the street due to his constant transient state. It began with one of his rare outings out of his can. He had returned home to find his can had been inhabited by squatters. In a constant state of trying to find suitable accommodations, Oscar has found himself at the whims of homelessness and others in the same state of distress. It's not uncommon he finds himself in the company of strangers sharing the sidewalks and alleyways. From can to can, his daily story of survival leaves us feeling hopeless. Is there any end to the madness? At least throughout our conversation, Oscar retained his jovial personality, granting us some hope that perhaps all was not hopeless. We parted ways, and I wished Oscar the best. I walked for some time before a commotion in the street caught my attention. It seemed I had stumbled upon some festivities taking place. Surely this would help my investigation. But before I had a thought of where to start, an ambulance arrived. Down the street was a hospital, and the crew began unloading a patient upon a gurney. What had happened, and who was it? I rushed down the street to see what had happened, ignoring all the festivities about me. Within moments I found someone of interest. Super Grover. Alas, someone was trying to keep the hope of the neighborhood. However, something was terribly wrong. It was Grover upon the gurney. It too seems that even Super Grover was not immune to the threats beguiling our great nation. I rushed forward seeking answers, but Grover had been whisked away before I could speak with him. I asked the driver what had happened. The driver assured me that Super Grover's days of heroism was over. The violent criminals that inhabited our streets were far too vast. The hospital was overwhelmed with the influx of patients, and not many of them able to afford insurance. Sadly, the glimmer of hope was gone in an instant. Surely there must be some light at the end of the tunnel. Perhaps the festivities would offer more answers. Turning back to the commotion of the festivities, I saw that there was a blood drive being held. I moved closer. Who do I see but the Count? The ever-cherished Count. I overhear the ever-familiar voice. That's one pint of blood. Ha ha ha. A pale-faced child is handed a cookie and some orange juice by the Count. Many of those giving blood appear pale, as a matter of fact. Something about the sight doesn't seem right. What was I missing here? Many youth and adults give blood for the blood bank, but there wasn't a mobile unit in sight. Not to mention, most able-bodied adults can give blood without any harsh side effects. All those in attendance seemed rather flushed. I must have drawn attention because the Count was now staring at me through his monocle with an inquisitive look of his own. That's not the Count I remember. His gaze appeared sharp and threatening. I knew better than to linger too long. Investigations can take unexpected turns. This was a rabbit hole best left untouched. I turned away and resumed my investigative search as I heard the thunder. What was the festivities occurring on Sesame Street? Wait, is that who I think it is? Elmo, a once cherished youthful monster, was now a grown young man. Sitting upon the sidewalk, it appeared he was selling some possessions he'd outgrown. I approached, but all was not as it appeared. He had a lot of cash on hand, a lot of money for a typical yard sale. I decided to stay inconspicuous and watch from afar as he gathered his belongings and went on his way. Following behind, I steadied Elmo from a safe distance. I watched as he made conversations with some questionable characters and even made what appeared to be some cash transactions with some. It couldn't be. Our little Elmo fallen victim to the street in an attempt to make ends meet? I just couldn't wrap my head around it. Our once cherished icon now appears to be peddling more than we care to know. I couldn't fathom it. Retracing my steps, I came upon a parade. Finally, something wholesome. An event that exuded the memory of Sesame Street. I couldn't wait. I knew there was still something behind the curtain that had eclipsed our beloved sanctuary. Oh no, it can't be. I looked on with disdain. The sight was appalling. A pride parade, right here on Sesame Street. And who do I see but Bert and Ernie? Now grown men waving their flags. I needed answers and approached. Through the commotion, I was able to get communication between the two. I questioned, how can this be? Not Bert and Ernie. They assured me, to my great relief, that they were not in the homosexual community. They just felt like celebrating the movement. For years of two men living together, the LGBTQ plus community has normalized two men living together as completely normal. Not to mention, they just loved all the alphabet in the movement, LGBTQ. With their familiar laughter, they disappeared with the parade. My investigation was at its end. I began my walk to my vehicle, retracing my steps through the alleyway. Sadly, my reporting didn't end here. The alleyway appeared blocked by a large yellow object. It was our favorite feathered friend, Big Bird. Littered about his body was discarded prescription bottles and trash. It seems Big Bird has fallen victim to the drug epidemic flooding our borders. At first I couldn't tell if he was alive or dead. He was in quite a sad state. It was disheartening to find him in this stupor. I did all I could and phoned 911 to get him immediate care. I could bear to investigate no further. I prayed the hospital could get him the care he so desperately needed. I ended my investigation and headed back to my vehicle. Breaking news. Upon ending my investigation, a new scandal has come to light. Sesame Street game show host Guy Smiley has been arrested pending investigation. Numerous allegations has been brought to light by victims coming forward sharing their stories of numerous mishandlings and talk of a crime syndicate plaguing the street. Residents and monsters alike are appalled and disgusted hearing the allegations. How something like this has been going on for years by someone held in such high regard by the community is appalling. Our trust is broken by the one we trusted the most. Those we admired and idolized are perpetrators of heinous acts. Can we trust any of our celebrities? Numerous arrests have been made within Smiley's entertainment circle, all of whom accused of enabling the celebrity or in direct involvement of said crimes. A special unit has been dedicated to facilitating said individuals until hearings can proceed. No additional information of said allegations have been made public as of yet. We will continue to share details as officials release them. It's truly a shocking turn of events playing out before us. Stay with Unreal News as we continue to seek answers regarding this case. Back to you, Mr. I Am Awesome. We hope you found our investigation informative and enlightening. Be sure to check out more collaborations with our partners at White or Black, keeping it unreal from day one. Unreal News, we bring you the truths, not the facts.